Alright, up in the air. Waiting for Patrick to get up. Alright, hopefully Patrick will be able to get going here. There we go. There we go. It's nice having a friend to fly with. Patrick's work schedule hasn't let him fly too much lately, so it's good to see he's back up in the air. Trying to talk him out of this A-wing he's flying. He is so ready for another wing. Dallas in the background there. So tonight Patrick came over to show us how to use the telescope to see the conjunction of Saturn and Jupiter, which is very cool of him to do that for us. And I'm quite excited. So I have a few people coming over, and Patrick is going to kind of show everybody how to tune in the telescope, be able to check it out. Now, a lot of people have been calling it the Christmas star. It's not the Christmas star. I don't care what NASA says. Understand that even basic astronomy knows the difference between planets and stars. That being said, there are certain cosmological numbers that would be necessary in order for it to be a Christmas star and for the wise men to go to a specific place. And if you know the story, obviously the wise men did go to a specific place. Hey, dear. Cool. So, how did they know to go to a certain place? Well, there is a phrase that I'm sure you've heard of called as above, so below, and it is an ancient idea, and that is that the heavens are imprinted on the earth. Wow, look at all the deer. That is cool. Playing around. Hey, guys. Oh, wow, look at that buck. Whoa, hello. Oh, look at that buck. Whoa! Man, he's huge. That is obviously got to be a place where people pay to shoot deer. Otherwise, they wouldn't have such high fences around it. So I got to remember that for next time. Anyway. You're probably thinking that's a Masonic term, that as above, so below, and it's not. And it predates the Masons by a long shot, and I mean a long shot. So if you look at major cities or major mountains or major areas of the world, they are named according to their star that is imprinted upon them. So if you take the ecliptic, you can print that entirely onto the earth, and by doing so, you'll actually be able to see that when you go to certain places, they're named about the star that marks them. For instance, why is Mount Olympus named Mount Olympus, right? So, or, to get back to our story, why is Canaan named Canaan? Well, because Canaan is named Canaan after two things: the dog star, right, and of course the person named Canaan, but primarily from the star Canaan, or the dog star. The Egyptians called him Sirius, and that's kind of the term we use today of that star. Anyway, that star is around the area where they would have seen the quote-unquote Christmas star.
Okay, I'm going to push pause here to give you a little bit of background. Most people would think this goes into the realm of astrogeography or astrocartography. Well, it does sort of, but in modern days, astrocartography is more of a astrological zodiac kind of weirdness thing. But that's not what the ancients used it for. The ancients actually used the zodiac in order to travel and know where they were, not only on the earth, but where they were for seasons and times. And they would name things according to where the star was that was imprinted on the earth. For instance, I'm sure you know that the Great Pyramid of Giza is lined up with Orion, right? Specifically, that pyramid is lined up with the star Alnitak. So Alnitak is imprinted on the earth, and that's where the Great Pyramid is, and the rest of the pyramids then are in the belt along with Orion itself. So this even travels into modern day as well. So Washington D.C. is made right at the head of Virgo, right? Virgo the Virgin, and of course that's right in Virginia and next to Maryland, right? So the whole world is actually imprinted based upon the ecliptic star that is above them or marked onto the earth. And that's where the term as above, so below actually originated from. But this has nothing to do with astrological signs or telling the future or any of that hocus pocus. All right, now back to our story.
Now, the Christmas star would have been something that would have denoted a messianic birth, the birth of a Messiah and a king, right? The wise men knew this, and of course, Herod was king at the time, and Herod didn't know. Herod's like, well, what star? What star are you talking about? If it was a conjunction, trust me, he would have known about it, right? Because conjunctions usually mean something to cultures, and of course, it means something to the Romans as well as the Jewish people at the time, etc., etc. But it wasn't a conjunction. It was specifically a star, not just a star, but something that happens only 26 million years, and it happened right around the star Sirius, which is, you imprinted that, and so it's therefore Canaan. They would have known exactly where to go based upon the imprinted star. Right? So understand that they were wise men, very wise. And so they were very familiar with the, I'm going to say the mystical numbers, but really cosmological numbers. You know, there's 3 sets of numbers. And there's actually 4, but there's 3 primary sets of numbers. One is cosmological. The other is the numbers of man, and the other is going to be the numbers of life, right? So your life numbers are going to be like 3, 5, 8, 13, right? Those are Fibonacci type numbers. You have the numbers of man, which are going to be like 4, 6, 7, 10, 12, 40, those types of things. And then you have the cosmological numbers, which are like 729, 1440, etc., etc. So the cosmological numbers, if you're a wise man, you would have been versed in these numbers, and you would have understood exactly, according to where you saw a certain sign in the sky, where that would be imprinted upon the earth and where to go. Love these horses around here. They're so used to me now that I kind of fly around them and they don't even move anymore. There's a stallion that's just beautiful. Literally, I call him the black stallion because he's all black, and his tail goes all the way to the ground. An amazing horse. Let me see if I can see him. You can see that the horses don't even move for me anymore. They're that used to me. But I still try to stay. There he is, right there. Beautiful horse. Anyway, where was I? Yeah, so an astronomer saying, a conjunction star, that would have been the Star of Bethlehem. No, totally wrong, because a conjunction, a planet goes into retrograde. And because it goes into retrograde, well, even because it moves forward, there's no way you can imprint it on a physical part of the Earth, whereas the stars are static and you can do that. So There's a huge study on this, and a lot of it has nothing to do with the Christmas star per se, or the Star of Bethlehem, but has more to do with cosmology and how the ancients built structures, i.e. things like the pyramids and, the Parthenon is a great architecture building to look at. Because it uses the cosmological numbers. Anything in architecture built by the ancients that has lasted this long, I'm talking the megaliths or things like the Parthenon, always used astrological numbers or cosmological numbers to be built. And that's how we know that not only that they were brilliant, but that they knew things like what the difference between planets and stars were, and how big the Earth was, what the circumference, diameter, radius, how fast it moved, how fast the sun turned. I mean, just amazing things that you would have time to learn if you could see the sky. We now live in a society where you really don't view the sky as much because, we have light pollution, but they didn't. Back in the day, once that sun hit, guess what? Nobody went outside. I mean, you went to go look at the stars, but you certainly didn't wander around. And so when you have that much time to view the stars, and, there's been a lot of great thinkers over time. And, they figured it out. So, anyway, that's how we know that the Saturn-Jupiter conjunction was not the Christmas star, but education being what it was, today you're never going to convince the masses that we have lost a massive amount of knowledge that is very, very difficult now to regain. Because now we're stuck in the world of controlled thought, controlled speech, controlled knowledge, and, historically we know what that means. The people who want to control our knowledge nowadays are... Alright, hopefully one of those will work for Instagram, we'll see. So I hope you learned something about the Christmas star. I didn't really, I wasn't really going to talk about it, but I had nothing else to talk about. Just the evening's coming. I thought I'd, at least mention the cool thing about the telescope. Hey, if you have a telescope, go check that conjunction out. It's actually very cool. And if you're wondering what the ancients would have thought of a conjunction like that, well, it would be a conjunction of two gods, or it would either be the idea of overtaking, right? So Jupiter overtaking Saturn, or the congruency or the coming together of two gods, right? So the sign, understand that they didn't think the planets were gods. The planets were the symbols of the gods, so it was symbology. But what you have is you have two major gods. You have Jupiter and Saturn. Jupiter overthrew Saturn, and that's why Saturn ate her children, i.e. the moons. Going to Greek mythology here. But Saturn actually being Kronos to the Greeks, or Poseidon, the god of the underworld. So you would see the Jupiter, right, which of course is Zeus, overtaking Kronos, or the god of the underworld. Or you would have seen another way to interpret is the two coming together for one purpose. So that's really what the conjunction would have meant. And I'm not going to say in ancient times, because that's Greeks, Romans aren't really that ancient. If you would have thought about Sumeria or Acadia or Assyria, they would have looked at it totally different. They would have seen it as an ominous sign, right? So an ominous sign, and then where that conjunction takes place and where on the earth that takes place. And they would have said it's ominous for that, for either the whole earth or that point on the earth. So, now you know. Anyway, if you like this video, tap the like button. Definitely subscribe if you like this kind of format. I could go on for hours about astrological numbers and things like that, primarily because it's ancient history, not because I care about astrological numbers or anything, but love ancient history. But anyway, subscribe if you haven't, and I will see you guys in the next video.
This is an important part of Paramotor.
Yeah, really. Here with Patrick in Evil Villain number 42, checking out this telescope. And what's that awesomeness on the back of your hoodie? Oh yeah.